What's up, disc golfers? Team Staff West here. Got my dude Alex. Alex, how's it going?
Pretty good, man.
And we're super excited. I think this is our first time having a non-touring pro in for an interview, but we got Seth Munsey with Disc Golf Strong.
What's up, guys? Glad to be here.
Okay, so Seth, obviously you're a name to know in the sport right now. But we all know more or less what you do with training the athletes, but really the first thing we got to know is how did you get into the sport yourself? And then kind of what's your background in disc sports or disc golf?
Yeah, so I got into disc golf about 7 years ago. I started throwing a frisbee though when I was about 10 years old. So, I'm 28 years ago, and I was playing, throwing a frisbee every single day. My brother and my friends, we play object golf, everything. I grew up in Southern California from 10 on. And so we'd be out at the beach, we just playing everything we could do with a frisbee. We were trying to do. We really didn't know about disc golf at that time. That was obviously pre-internet, pre-YouTube, and all that. So we didn't know. I had no idea that Huntington Beach was only like 45 minutes away from me, and I wish I would have known, but I didn't. And so just grew up playing. Did some ultimate and went to the military, and really didn't even realize that there were amazing disc golf courses around me at that time too. When I was up in San Francisco and Santa Rosa, Northern California. But when I moved to Monterey, California, which is where I am now, it's where my wife is from. I was, got online and started looking up some activities for me to do to stay active up here. And one of the things that popped up was the Monterey Stinging Jellies Disc Golf Club. And I thought, okay, I've heard of disc golf before. And I love throwing frisbees, so I've got to check this out. And went out, did it, played around, and just like all of us, right, just became passionate about it and addicted to it right away. So that's how I found disc golf. My background is after the military, I worked on an ambulance for a couple of years, thinking I was going to be a firefighter, and did that for a little bit, part-time firefighter. And then I got out and used the GI Bill and went to a university and got my degree in exercise science, strength and conditioning, and really fell in love with that. And started working as a intern strength coach during my senior year of college with the Anaheim Ducks NHL team, and started working with athletes. Really fell in love with training pro athletes. So though when I moved up to Monterey, there's no professional sports team right here, so I opened up my own training facility, and I had my own training facility for 4 years up here, mostly working with general athletes, people that just want to move better, feel better. But playing disc golf, up here and seeing all the other disc golfers playing and having injuries, or not performing at their best, where they felt like they wanted to be and where they could be, led me to transition, close down my gym, and go into full-time disc golf strong a couple years back.
So that honestly, that plays directly into the next question is, you mentioned that the folks you saw playing were getting injured and things were going on. You're interested in helping them. So what was kind of that catalyst that made sense to close down your gym that you had been working on and start this new venture?
Yeah, great question. So, with the background in strength and conditioning, so my degrees in kinesiology is the official term, but it's exercise science, and I kind of focused on strength and conditioning. And so being out there playing rounds on the course with all my now disc golf friends, and seeing them injured, and seeing that like I said, they weren't performing the way they wanted to be, I started to say, like, hey, try doing this, try warming up. Hey, this is what's going on with your shoulder, or something like that. And so more people started to get interest in it. And I was, one night I was I was at the gym, I was mopping the floors. It was like 10:30 p.m., which was like normal for me. I was working 16-hour days at the gym, and I thought, you know what, like, I really want to help disc golfers. I want to help people like me, like, play strong and healthy and be resilient and, be able to compete for as many years or at least play this sport for as many years as we want. And so I looked up some things online, didn't really see any information out there except for like an old article, from Avery, who's now become a good friend of mine. We talk about training and stuff all the time, but that was really the only thing that had ever been put out there. So I got paired up I came up with the idea of Disc Golf Strong and started formulating it, and I was working on it. And then I happened to get paired up with a guy at a triples tournament, like a New Year's Day triples tournament we have here in town. His name is John Baldwin, and he was a 2011 Masters world champion. And so I said, this is the first time I met him, but we were talking, and I said, hey, John, have you ever done anything for fitness or heard of anything for fitness for disc golf? And he said, no, that's a great idea though. And he had been having some back issues. So, pretty quickly he was down at my gym because I still owned the gym at the time and we were doing stuff. So he's really like the first athlete I started doing stuff with, and he liked the idea. So I put out, I created an Instagram page, a Facebook page, and showed up at the St. Jude disc golf invitation. I think it was the disc golf invitational, but here in town, and all the pros were here, and I kind of just walked around, and John introduced me to a few quick people, but nothing really from there. And once I got a message from two different athletes on tour that had seen my Instagram and wanted to, some advice on things, and it kind of just took off from there. And it got to a point eventually where I was like, okay, if I'm going to I'm working 16, 17 hours at the gym every day. If I want to, make disc golf strong a reality, then I'm going to have to just, as they say, burn the boats, just shut down the gym and go full time. And so I did that in 2016. And so it's been great.
Yeah, I can remember when you kind of first came on the scene too, and just having that very same thought, like, wow, this is a resource as the sport is growing that I'm really surprised doesn't exist already. And it sounds like you kind of had that same realization too, like as the sport continues to get more professional and more money slowly filtering into disc golf, it's kind of incredible that there wasn't some sort of a training program or training partner out there. So I remember when you first came on thinking, wow, that's a fantastic idea. I'm so glad that disc golf is going to have something like that.
Yeah, really what I saw that right away, I recognized that, this is a sport and we are athletes. And I also recognize that that is not what many people, participating in the sport thought. They thought of it more as a game or as a hobby, and that it wasn't athletic, even though a study from the University of Arizona showed we have about an 81% injury rate in the sport from a survey that they did. And so, I was like, if we're going to stay healthy and we're going to all do this, we need to start thinking of ourselves as athletes. We need to start, training like athletes. We need to start thinking of this as a sport. And so starting to just put that information out there and, and help drive the culture in that direction.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's so kind of driving the culture in that direction. Just real quick, what is one tip you can do right away to improve your performance and kind of avoid those injuries? Just real quick.
Yeah. The first thing I always say is warm up. Like that's one of the first things I put out there when I first started. When I first started Disc Golf Strong, I put out a free warm up ebook, and for athletes to start warming up before they throw. If you look at any other sport, professional sport around the world, most athletes, pretty much all the athletes, they all warm up. When I teach clinics, I taught a bunch of clinics over in Europe this year, and I would ask right away, like, who warms up for disc golf? And no one would raise their hand. I said, who all here has played hockey or rugby or any other sport, football? And pretty much most people raised their hand. I said, who warmed up before that? And everyone raised their hand. I said, so if this all of a sudden transformed into a football clinic and I said, let's all warm up, you guys, I mean, that you would jump right into it. But I say disc golf warm up, and people are like, "What?" But
Yeah.
science has shown that warming up your body before you train, before you do an athletic event, can greatly impact your performance and lower your injury risk. So start warming up.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild because you watch almost any coverage nowadays, and you have those disc golf strong commercials, and you see Eagle doing the lunges, or you see Jessica Weiss doing the lunges, or the shoulder stretches, and it makes so much sense. But like a casual player or somebody going out and playing leagues might not think to do that. So real quick before we continue with more questions, I think Wes has a disc to give away.
Not only one disc, I actually have two today, Alex.
Oh.
I think this was, we might have tried to give this one away before, but didn't quite meet the requirements. So I got two discs to give away. I have this nice Avenger SS, kind of understable fairway. And then we got this sweet first run Vulture, nice red with blue stamp. And we're going to give both of these away to one person. So I'm pumped about that. Understable and stable fairway. And I think we did the training thing in Chandler's video. So why don't we go with one specific workout or move that you do to warm up? And we're going to get hopefully a couple more from Seth. But comment down below one warm up that you do before your disc golf round, and I'll go through and pick out a winner for both of the discs.
That's awesome.
We'll continue on with our questions. What are the pros doing to improve their athleticism? Whether it's working with you or working outside, what are some things that you see them doing?
Yeah, so this off season, even more so than any other off season. About 3 years ago, I started working with a few players in the off season, more last year and even more this year. And they're starting to take their off season seriously and starting to realize that the off season, while it's a time to recover, to regenerate, to refresh, it's also a time to work disc golf, right? So if the disc golf is their profession, during the off season, professional athletes in other sports, they train their bodies. That's when they work on their mental game. That's when they work on body composition, whatever is going to help them perform the best. Where past off seasons, it was, hey, this is a great time to just relax, maybe get a side job, something like that, and all that's important, right? But working disc golf, waking up. I talk to my athletes. What are we working disc golf? Are we waking up every day and saying, what can I do today to have some sort of improvement in my game, in my mindset, in my nutrition? There's something I can be doing today to do that. And even on the recreational side, there's so many people that they're like, oh, but I don't want to play pro. But you want to play well, right? You want to go out there and perform your best. So if you wake up and say, hey, what's one thing I can do this week to help, and hopefully physical training of some sort is a part of that. But that's really what the pros are doing this off season. They're working disc golf. All the athletes that I work with, it's okay. We're working on specific things each week to make sure that they're going into the 2020 season both strong, healthy, and have the confidence, because strength breeds confidence. So have that confidence that they're going to go into the next season ready to go, ready to display their full athletic potential.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I've heard from several pros is that it's tough to stay in shape when you're on the road, and especially if you're just touring in a van. Things like eating healthy, making sure you're getting those workouts in to maintain the composition that you want to. I've heard a lot of pros say that that's a real challenge for them on the road. So with the off season, which hasn't become much of an off season for a lot of the professionals anymore, those are all great things to work on. How much, you mentioned the strength breeds confidence. How much does training affect performance for these top level pros?
Yeah, there's a huge effect that training has. A lot of times, especially in disc golf, I've heard this many times that it's a finesse sport. We don't really need strength. We don't really need to train. We just need to work on our technique, right? But as I said earlier, the science shows that training has a positive effect on your performance levels, on your lowering your injury risk. Professional sports teams spend hundreds of thousands of dollars or more on training staff, on training facilities. They wouldn't do that if it was just a nice to have for their athletes, right? It's a need to have because they know that the science shows that it will help them out there when they are trying to compete at the top level. So the training really does make a big difference, even more so than just the technique. Like Eagle has said multiple times, he's told me multiple times that even when it comes down to a warm up, he said if he got to when he gets to a tournament, every morning, if he only had the choice to throw and putt or warm up, if he could only make one choice, he would always warm up now before he throws. He says he has that big of an effect on him. Paige Pierce, who I work with, she's told me multiple times that she feels. We were talking about this one at the European Open. She came up to me and she said, "Seth, I can't miss my warm up now because I feel like I'm ready to go on hole 1 and I'm not like ready to go on hole 4 or hole 5."
Yeah.
Right. And so that made a big difference to her where she could actually feel like, okay, I'm walking up to hole 1, feeling loose, feeling ready, primed to go. When in the past, she said it would be, hole 3, hole 4 is when she really started to feel like she was getting in a groove. So training your body makes a big difference. The mental game of it, if your brain knows that your joints are stable, that your muscles are activated, that your nervous system is primed and ready to compete, it's going to allow you to access more of your potential. If it doesn't feel that, because the brain always chooses health and safety over throwing a frisbee really far, right? If it can tell that you've done things, it's going to help you tap into more of your athletic potential. So it has a huge impact on your performance.
Gosh, I think we're starting to see too, especially the top, 10 to 20 athletes are all involved with Disc Golf Strong and working with you. I know you've got a long list of players that you're working with this off season. Tell the general fans how they can learn more about Disc Golf Strong, and if they're interested in working directly with you, how they can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got discgolfstrong.com. Really, I'm posting a lot more stuff to my YouTube page, and I'm working on the YouTube, getting more content out that way. I have Facebook group and Facebook page, Instagram, but the big thing is I have an app, Disc Golf Strong app, and that's something that we put out a couple months back, and we're continuously working on trying to improve it. And I put content out through that. And it's a free app that's available on both iOS and Android. And there's the pre-round warm-up in there. There is some jumpstart programs, mobility, stability programs. And then outside of that, we have the Inner Circle, which is our premium group where that's a membership group where we have a private Facebook group. They get access to all our training programs. So they're actually going through our off-season, the same off-season training programs that our pros are going through. They're going through that as well. So, but I would say just, if they can at least just start with downloading the app, there's going to be resources on there. We have over 400 exercises on there that you can access inside the app. So that's the best way.
Nice. Go download the app. Check out those workouts. It makes great material to drop a comment down below to get entered to win these sweet discs for free, shipped to your door. I think that's everything. If you want to take a minute or two, Seth, to thank anybody or share any more information, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, thanks again, guys, for having me on. This has been great. I've really enjoyed speaking with you both, and and hopefully I was able to share some information that everyone can take away and help them play strong, healthy, resilient, injury-resistant disc golf. One thing I always tell people is in disc golf, one big takeaway is that technique is very important in disc golf. Right. But a lot of people, I get questions all the time where people are looking for a technique solution to a movement problem. If our bodies can't move in a certain way, if our upper back is stiff and we can't rotate through upper back, Doesn't matter how many technique drills I do to try to, you know, get that rotation I need. If I don't actively work on that rotation, I'm not going to be able to get there, right? So
Yep.
if you got something going on where you're like, man, my technique, I'm trying to work on my technique, I can't get this figured out. Just ask yourself, am I trying to apply a technique solution to a movement problem? Do I actually need to work on some stability, some strength, some mobility in some areas, and then apply the technique on top of that? So that's one of my biggest takeaways for people, because in disc golf, technique is all the rage, and I get it, right? We all want better technique, but sometimes our bodies just can't even get into that position to make that technique drill a possibility. So, but thanks again, guys, and you know, I appreciate all of you, you know, and your support of Disc Golf Strong. It's been a great ride, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Awesome.
Well, there's only one thing to do at the end of the day, and that is
make that putt.
Do you want to watch more awesome videos? We know you do. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, turn on that notification bell so that you're notified every time we post new videos here at Underground Interviews.